Trey Gowdy ripped U.S. immigration official to pieces on live TV because she demands free path for illegals, you'll cheer. Trey Gowdy has been bounty occupied for the recent years. Between Benghazi, the Hillary email scandal and the DHS Johnson decision security failure, he's been on TV about as much as Obama. That being stated, he's gone up against yet another part in scrutinizing the avocation of the U.S. Movement and Customs Enforcement's office issuance of explanations supporting the way to citizenship for every one of the 11M illegals in the nation. The South Carolina congressperson didn't acknowledge that 11M deserving migrants sought to be on this way, and that unsettled a couple of quills of a clearly apprehensive immigration officer. Yes, I'm right. This liberal U.S. immigration official argues that 12 million illegal immigrants should have a clear path to citizenship in this country. Rep. Gowdy shuts her down instantly and expertly. The problem with the left is that they think that every illegal immigrant is trying to escape the poverty of Mexico. That's not true at all. Illegal immigration costs the United States hundreds of billions of dollars each year. It brings in drug trafficking and crime. To say that every illegal in the U.S. is here for a benevolent reason is pure ignorance. You cannot lump all illegal immigrants into one category, it just does not work like that. It's not fair for the millions of Hispanics who have waited, went through the process the correct way, and got their citizenship the way it should be done. Every illegal immigrant that comes in is a slap to the face of those who really want to be here. There is another element of illegal immigration that has not been said, and that is the openness of illegals to a. Take personalities of those legitimately in the U.S. keeping in mind the end goal to increase Social Security numbers. B. To convey fake government IDs and c. To draw upon the exceptionally broad U.S. welfare system and health advantages. A California government official, Kevin DeLeon, really conceded that a large portion of his family would be qualified for expulsion for deportation, false or stolen ID cards. That is the way terrible it has gotten, my kindred Americans. Scandalous background. Judge that stopped Trump's sanctuary city defunding has dark secret. Wouldn't you have gotten it? The 9th District Court is back at it once more. They were the first to block President Trump's initially travel ban order, and they are by and by the first to stop the president's order to defund sanctuary cities. It wouldn't trouble me, and most Americans, if these orders were ended because of the judge's unprejudiced nature. However, we as a whole realize that these particular judges out of California have nothing to do with fair-mindedness except for everything to do with legislative issues. They are administering from the seat at the end of the day. The specific judge who finished Trump's current order, Judge William Orrick III, has some political potentially disastrous secrets. It appeared to be so natural for him to hinder this order. Why? Since he's an enormous Obama fan. So tremendous, actually, he helped Obama raise upwards of $200,000 for him, and gave $30,000 to associations that helped the previous president. From Fox News. Federal Judge William Orrick III, who on Tuesday blocked President Trump's order to withhold federal funds from sanctuary cities, reportedly bundled hundreds of thousands of dollars for President Barack Obama. Orrick, of the Northern District of California, issued an injunction against the Trump administration after the city of San Francisco and the county of Santa Clara sued over the president's plan to withhold federal funds from the municipalities that harbor illegal immigrants. As FoxNews.com reported, the ruling from U.S. District Judge William Orrick III in San Francisco said that Trump's order targeted broad categories of federal funding for sanctuary governments, and that plaintiffs challenging the order would likely succeed in proving it unconstitutional. The decision will block the measure for now, while the federal lawsuit works through the courts. The news comes on the heels of the Department of Justice threatening to Friday to cut off funding to 8 so-called sanctuary cities, unless they were able to provide proof to the federal government that they were not looking the other way when it came to undocumented immigrants. The same judge issued a restraining order in 2015 against the advocacy group responsible for undercover videos purporting to show Planned Parenthood employees plotting to sell baby organs. At the time, the Federalist found that Oreck raised at least $200,000 for Obama and donated more than $30,000 to groups supporting him. To me, it's the ideal opportunity for Congress to venture up and progress in the direction of reprimanding those judges who are plainly doing Congress employment from their court situate. Report: one of the top anti-Trump Republicans busted taking Soros bribes. It is finally confirmed. John McCain, the creator of ISIS, the father of the Syrian moderate rebels, is caught red-handed taking bribe from Soros. John McCain is exposed, and you deserve to know the truth. The Middle East is obviously a playground of the socialist globalists and their loyal servants, the snakes in D.C. Read more below. It is no secret that George Soros is the great puppet master of the left. However, few also know that Soros' globalist vision has some supports on the nominal right. A recent investigation has concluded that socialist globalist George Soros donated $100,000 to John McCain's McCain Institute for International Leadership. Other donors include Teneo, a company run by a staunch Clintonite, and Saudi Arabia, who donated as much as $1 million, via the Daily Caller. Not surprisingly, McCain has been one of the most vocal opponents of President Donald Trump and his administration. Early last month, McCain stated that the investigations into Russia's supposed infiltration of the 2016 election on behalf of the Trump campaign had reached Watergate size, via CNN. In other words, the Arizona Republican seems to believe in the false Democrat narrative that President Trump is somehow illegitimate. What makes this revelation especially galling is that McCain once tried to call himself a maverick. Indeed, McCain's failed 2008 presidential campaign ran on the idea that the establishment Republican was somehow a political outsider. It was McCain's terrible campaign that helped deliver to America Barack Obama as its president. These days, McCain is an increasingly senile statesman who recently made headlines by posting very odd and unrelated questions to former FBI Director James Comey, via Washington Post. Elsewhere, McCain is an infamous foreign policy hawk who believes that it is America's responsibility to interfere in the world's business. In 2011, he famously pushed for more direct U.S. involvement in Libya during that nation's civil war. The country is now essentially lawless with 3 or 4 competing governments, while he still maintains the notion that America should deploy ground troops to Syria in order to remove President Bashar al-Assad, via Daily Beast. McCain's connection to Saudi Arabia shouldn't come as a surprise given his longtime support for Islamist rebels in the Middle East. His connection to George Soros is equally obvious given that Soros' left-wing ideal of multicultural globalism is closely aligned with McCain's desire for Washington to head a multinational empire founded on democracy and capitalism. More Republicans should be called out for their phony conservatism. In fact, it is safe to say that most of the Republicans currently in Congress are more like McCain than Trump. This would explain why Republicans in Washington continue to do nothing. They are happy with the status quo. We, the American people, are not. We want America first, not more McCainism. What do you think about this? Comment below. Angry Patriot Movement. This is the true face of the Rhino McCain. He stands behind the people who killed thousands of innocent men, women and children. And, of course, our theory is confirmed once again. The globalists stand behind the deep state, the Islamization of the Western Hemisphere, and the black money in the Middle East. Nightmare. Barack Obama is returning to save the Democratic Party? This can't be happening. 3 people host bin toxic substance to the Democrat Party, and you consider how the DNC will ever recuperate if that 3 decline to disappear. Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and Harry Reid are verifiably the most terribly harming government officials ever to beauty the party of the jackass. Throughout his almost 10 years in office, Barack Obama engineered a repulsive and dangerous plan that shredded our nation. Between the previously mentioned three, they figured out how to lose more than 1,200 seats in the Senate, House, governorships, and in the state's legislative bodies and assemblies. Also the succeeding administration. That is verifiably the most exceedingly awful execution by a two-term president while having for 2 of those years both the House and the Senate, at that point for 4 all the more, simply the Senate, at that point obviously, not one or the other. Since the race of Donald Trump, the Democrats have hung together another 4 losses that they regarded winnable, incorporating the most recent challenge in Georgia. Thus, enter the savior, the anointed, the emperor, Barack Hussein Obama. Breitbart. Former President Barack Obama will return to the campaign trail this fall in a bid to curb a series of Democratic electoral losses, according to a report in the HuffPost. Obama is expected to campaign for Virginia Lieutenant Governor Ralph Northam, a rare decision for a former president. The decision shows that Democrats appear helpless without Obama, hoping that he will help them recapture the magic. Northam already has 8-point polling lead over Republican candidate Ed Gillespie in the race, after the Republican nominee almost lost his primary to challenger Corey Stewart. A Quinnipiac University poll shows that 47% supported Northam, while only 39% backed Gillespie. The state is currently led by Governor Terry McAuliffe, the former Democratic National Committee chairman during Bill Clinton's presidency. Gillespie is another Republican establishmentariat sort who practically lost in the essential to a Trumpian outcast sort in Corey Stewart. By and by, Stewart bashfully embraced Gillespie. Regardless of whether that will affect the surveys stays to be seen. Suffice it to state, I trust Obama is confusing for Northam in light of the fact that it gives off an impression of being a simple win. That way, a short time later, he can pump his clench hand and say, "Perceive what amount of impact despite everything I have readily available?" Neil Cavuto makes huge attack on CNN on live TV. The mainstream media is not completely defeated. Fox News host Neil Cavuto makes sure that everyone should be aware of that. In the report below you can read about how Neil Cavuto lectures stupid liberal brainwashers and shows at front of the nation what does it mean to be a real patriot and real journalist. Liberals will cry after what Neil Cavuto did. This guy is a real pearl and he deserves a medal for being honorable journalist and real professional, but he just couldn't take it anymore. Neil Cavuto has been waiting for his chance to strike against the liberal oppressors from the mainstream media and he made a fantastic point. The intellectual masses in the USA refuse to remain silent. But what's also important, and Cavuto also says we need to take care, is the huge number of ignorant people who don't know a thing about what Obama did on the crooked, lying, liberal media broadcasts. And Cavuto is right, the people need to know the truth. The people should know what happens behind the groovy liberal curtain. It didn't matter so much when it wasn't about you before CNN. Way different now that it's you being singled out, CNN. See, that doesn't seem very fair now, does it? The shabby treatment of your reporters, not very nice now, is it? That's life, I guess. Not fair, often not balanced, and now, you're experiencing what we have been living. Now you're taking the royal foxing, and the irony is I feel your pain. Cavuto burned CNN. This was a good lecture in the form of an impressive speech by Neil Cavuto. People, you know that this is not a propaganda. This man is a real professional and he knows what's he talking about. We have to be realistic, we must not let the liberals put us in some comfort zone. The patriots from the USA have to fight back. Good job, Cavuto.